After the success with their smash hit game Blood Rage, and now with their upcoming, highly anticipated, record-breaking Kickstarter Rising Sun, designer Eric Lang and publisher Simon Games seem to be on a bit of a roll. And for that reason, when I heard that their next game collaboration was going to be a gangster-themed one, well, I got pretty excited. I mean, after all, I have been known to embrace a mobster mentality in games like Nothing Personal, Bootleggers, Sons of Anarchy, and even Dead Last. And then, when I heard that this upcoming game was going to be based on the Godfather movie license, my level of excitement remained absolutely unchanged one way or the other. And that is because while the film franchise, which began with 1972's The Godfather, is seen by many as a triumph of filmmaking, a beloved classic that's heralded as a movie-making masterpiece, I myself have absolutely no interest in the series. No, to me, the 1972 box office is dominated by another movie about criminal hijinks. Now you see him, now you don't. The second film in Disney's unofficial Dexter Riley movie trilogy. A series that also includes The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes and The Strongest Man in the World. But as awesome as a game based on that cinematic license would be, this game is based on The Godfather. Which is fine, I guess. And that's why, coming into this game, I really wanted to know, how fun is it, really, for someone who does enjoy giving and receiving a good stab in the back, but has no interest in the Godfather cinematic universe. Does this Corleone's empire really stand on its own, independently, as a good game? Or does it rely on the Godfather license? Well, that is the question that I will be investigating today. As one who enjoys a game where I get to caustically negotiate the Cosa Nostra, the first thing I did upon receiving my test copy of The Godfather Corleone's Empire was to dig into its rulebook, specifically to find out how negotiation and blackmail are incorporated into this game. I mean, after all, what game about the underhanded underworld wouldn't incorporate negotiations and backstabbing? Well, as it turns out, this one. As I continued to leaf through the rulebook, I was flabbergasted that there's no negotiation mechanisms built into this game. Instead, the focus is on worker placement and area control with a dash of very, very vicious card play. All right, fair enough. But how is a worker placement mechanism going to encourage the kind of cutthroat behavior and tense interaction I would expect in a game about Wiseguys and warfare? To be honest, I was skeptical. So, to address how the game answers that question, we'll first need a brief synopsis of how the game plays. Now, this is not meant to be a complete tutorial. For that, click on over to Watch It Played for an instructional video produced by a fellow lover of backstabbing, Rodney Smith. For now, here's an overview of the game's main concepts. In The Godfather, Corleone's Empire, players will control a mob of henchmen who they will send out into the city to collect the money and resources that they need to grow their evil empire. Each player will have two types of workers at their disposal: generic thugs with square bases, and uniquely sculpted family members with round bases. Throughout the game, players will place these units on corresponding square and round spaces throughout the board in order to shake down local businesses, which provides them with money, contraband, and jobs that they can complete for the capo for even more money and contraband. At the end of each round, ownership of each section of the city will be awarded to the player with the most units influencing that turf. Controlling turf also awards that player bonuses when other players' thugs shake down the businesses inside them. Throughout the game, players will be banking money by using actions to move money cards from their volatile hands to their slightly more secure personal suitcase. And this is important because at the end of the game, after bonuses for owning turf and completing jobs have been awarded, the player that has stashed the most money away in their suitcase will be the winner. Alright, so now that we have a basic understanding of how the game works, how reliant is it on the Godfather cinematic universe? Is it accessible and, more importantly, fun for players who have no attachment to or interest in the source material? Well, I have played the game with several different groups of people, nearly none of whom have ever actually even watched the Godfather movies. And interestingly, each group has had the exact same response. The very first round of the game, as everyone was getting used to the flow of how things work and the options that they had available to take on their turns, the initial response is, okay, sure, this is fine. But then, by the middle of the second round, the potential rewards and consequences of their actions suddenly click for everyone. And there's a nearly simultaneous exclamation of, "Oh, I see what we're doing here." And then the group descends into an uneasy silence, periodically punctuated by sinister laughter and explosion sound effects. Now, something that multiple players have said to me during their first game, myself included, which would mean I said it to myself, is that even though there's not necessarily a lot of moving pieces, there's still many different things to keep an eye on. And the way that the locations, the cards, and related options intertwine means that everything that players do will have consequences and affect other locations and resources that they are also simultaneously trying to manage. And even the best laid plans can be blown to smithereens by the drop of a card, or car bomb, or car bomb card, because there's a car bomb card in the game, and it's nasty. This results in continual interaction, engagement, and cold sweats by all of the players, even when it's not their turn. And all of this is accomplished without any deal-making or negotiation built into the game. The game also seems to scale really well from 2 to 5 players. Now, personally, I think my favorite way to play it is with the full complement of 5. The available resources are just much tighter, and things can escalate to become even more explosive. The only thing that would make the game even more intense would be the inclusion of an invisible car chase. Okay, yeah, admittedly, sure, yeah, I don't know how many invisible car chases there are in the Godfather movies. But I do know that Now You See Him, Now You Don't has one. In that film, Cesar Romero's character and his henchmen, they lead a high-speed chase in a car sprayed with a stolen invisibility formula, only to be thwarted when the hero, played by Kurt Russell, forces the villain's vehicle into a neighbor's swimming pool, washing away the car's coating of transparency and revealing the criminal and his evil scheme to both be all wet. I seem to have veered off course. So let's put the movie aside and get back to the game. Now, this being a game published by Cool Mini or not, the very first thing that people are going to ask is whether or not the game's minis are cool or not. Ha 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 ha! Witty. But even so, the components in this game were something that attracted players to it who didn't otherwise care about the Godfather IP. I have to admit that Simon did an excellent job of filling this box with 2 full scoops of fantastic eye candy. While all the thug figures included in the game are all the same design, all of the faction's family members are each unique sculpts, which helps give each player a more unique feel. At first, I worried that my unfamiliarity with the movie was going to diminish my appreciation of these characters, but then I discovered that the game's sculpts and factions aren't actually based on the characters from the movie, just kind of the feel of that universe. They were created specifically for the game. So, turns out that lack of knowledge about the movie's plot won't cause a player to miss out on any of the backstory of these characters. So, woohoo! But I'll add in that if I had one complaint about the minis in this game, it'd be that perhaps there's just too many of them. Well, specifically, there's this little mini car that's intended to keep track of what part of each round is currently being played. However, that little car track has not been used once in a single game that I've played. It's like the equivalent of tattooing your zip code on your forearm just in case you forget where you live overnight. It's just not necessary to track that level of detail. Another accessory, which at first I thought was overkill, but have appreciated more each time that I've played, are one of the game's more unique components, the little metal suitcases for each player to store their money stash in. Now first, these come across as just a novelty, and easily could have been replaced by a simple player screen or a pile in front of each player. But having a little sealed suitcase sitting in front of each player also adds a sense of mystery, and they are used during the game. There is something really good in that guy's suitcase over there. So what is in here? And more importantly, how can I persuade that guy to transfer its contents over to my possession? Well, so there you have it. Between the components and, far more importantly, the gameplay, my initial worries that a lack of integrated negotiation, plus my own unfamiliarity with the Godfather movies, would turn this game into a flavorless worker placement game, all that, turned out to be, for me, completely unfounded. Your mileage may vary, of course, but I found that the way that the game's mechanisms work together allow for players to jockey for control of resources and turfs in a way that still adds a lot of tension and keeps players engaged even during everyone else's turns. But again, this is just one person's perspective on this game. For additional points of view about the Godfather Corleone's empire, be sure to check out tabletopshowcase.com for all the other videos and podcasts produced this week by the Showcase contributors, including The Secret Cabal, Watch It Played, Drive-Thru Review, Rolling Dice and Taking Names, and Board Game Replay. There's tutorials and interviews, playthroughs, and more. And a special thanks has to go out to the sponsor of this Tabletop Showcase event, CMON Games. As for future Showcase events, hopefully someone will soon publish a board game based on Dexter Riley's scientific misadventures that we can all cover. But no word yet on that actually happening, though, as awesome as that would be. In the meantime, if you're interested in the Godfather Corleone's empire, CMON Games is running a contest through June 30th, 2017 to give away not 1, not 17, but 3 copies of it. Complete details, plus a link to the website where you can enter this contest, are available in this video's description below. And the crazy classified covert code word to use when entering this contest on its website is Showcase. Oh, secretive. Until next time, thanks for joining me, and I hope that this evaluation of the Godfather Corleone's empire has been informative. I've been Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, and take care. No, I totally know the plot to The Godfather. It's the story of a guy who works in sanitation who, on the day of his daughter's wedding, receives an offer that he can't refuse for a horse named Scarface, which he lets sleep in his own bed until one night the horse tragically decapitates itself in its sleep. At least, that's what I've pieced together from various internet memes. I still can't figure out how Grumpy Cat fits into it, though. Yeah, I'm making weird honking, laughing goose sounds. Leave me alone. Leave me alone! Don't judge me! Okay, I'm continuing now. So, please